What is good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we are going to be talking about Week 9 waiver wire additions that you should be adding in your fantasy football leagues. So without wasting any more time, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and let's get right into these players. Now, the first player that I'm going to be adding in my fantasy football leagues is going to be tight end Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals, and he's being rostered in about 20% of leagues right now. McBride finally took over for an injured Zach Ertz in Week 8 of the fantasy football season, and he did give us a monster fantasy football performance in his absence, and it looks like McBride's going to be a great player for your fantasy football teams moving forward. McBride posted 10 receptions on 14 targets for 95 yards and a touchdown in Week 8, and he did post a massive 37.8% target share in that game. And I don't necessarily expect this to be the norm for Trey McBride, but I do think that McBride could flirt with top 10 tight end numbers at that position moving forward for the rest of the season. McBride has some upcoming opponents of the New York Giants, the New York Jets, and the Miami Dolphins. Now, the second player that I'm going to be adding in my leagues this week is going to be Will Levis, quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, and Will is only being rostered in about 4% of leagues. I drastically expect that to change moving forward here this week. Many people, including the Tennessee Titans themselves, really didn't seem to love Will Levis during the draft process this offseason. And in his first NFL start, if you could really call that QB carousel BS that they were doing a start at the NFL level, I don't know what that was, but Levis did show us that he has some of the tools that did make him a flashier prospect during the draft process and showed us what he put on college tape with a big arm and athleticism that he possesses. One thing that I liked out of Levis this week is he seemed poised in the pocket. He showed some really good instincts, and best of all, he showed us that he could feed his number one wide receiver, DeAndre Hopkins, who he threw 3 of his 4 touchdowns to in this game. Now, if you still have Sam Howell or Kyler Murray on your waiver wires, I do prefer those 2 quarterbacks over Will Levis this week, but Levis has enough upside that I think you should pick him up, and I wouldn't mind streaming him on the cheap over the next few games. Those upcoming matchups being the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the third player that I'm going to be picking up in my leagues is going to be Tyjae Spears for the Tennessee Titans, and he's being rostered in about 50% of leagues, so it's a 50-50 chance he's on your waiver right now. And according to multiple reports, the Tennessee Titans have told Derrick Henry that they will not plan on trading him before the deadline, which I personally don't understand. But regardless, I think that Tyjae Spears has shown us that he is more than just a handcuff in the short time that he spent here with the Tennessee Titans. And because I have a hard time believing that the Titans wouldn't trade Henry, assuming that the right offer came along as we approach this deadline here on Tuesday, if the Titans were to trade Tyjae Spears, I think he would immediately become a running back 2 for fantasy football purposes. And if the Titans really are foolish enough to not trade away a 30-year-old running back on a roster where he's being paid multiple millions of dollars, despite this team looking like they are on the fringe of entering a rebuild, Spears would still have standalone value, and I think he can earn double-digit touches in negative game scripts alongside Derrick Henry as this season moves on. Spears has some upcoming opponents of the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, the fourth player that I'm going to be adding is going to be Zach Charbonnet of the Seattle Seahawks, and he's being rostered in about 42% of leagues, so a little bit less than Tyjae Spears, but Charbonnet is a second-round pick for the Seahawks here in 2023, and he has spent some time this year being injured and backing up Kenneth Walker, so he hasn't really produced for fantasy football so far. However, Zach Charbonnet was filling in for Kenneth Walker this week as Walker was playing hurt, and Charb logged 31 snaps compared to Walker's 24. Now, I don't expect Charbonnet to overtake Walker as the number 1 back in this backfield, but I do expect Zach Charbonnet to become a bigger part of this offense down the stretch as this season moves on, and I do think Charbonnet and Walker can become one of the best backfields in the NFL. Some managers may be less aggressive trying to target Zach Charbonnet on the waiver wire just in fear of him being a backup or a handcuff to Kenneth Walker, but I do think that Charbonnet is a very high upside stash for me this week, and I do think that he is going to generate some standalone value as we go deeper into this year. Zach Charbonnet has some upcoming opponents of the Baltimore Ravens, the Washington Commanders, and the Los Angeles Rams. And last but not least, the 5th player that I'm going to be picking up on my waivers this week is going to be Demario Douglas, wide receiver for the New England Patriots, and he's only being rostered rostered in 3% of leagues, so he's virtually available everywhere that you are looking for him. And last week we talked about how much we liked Kendrick Bourne on the waiver wire and how the upcoming matchups were pretty good for Kendrick Bourne. Unfortunately, Bourne did tear his ACL here in week 8, so no more Bourne for us. It does look like Demario Douglas is going to be the next man up. With that being said, the same appreciation for the upcoming schedule stands true for Demario Douglas, who was a full-time player here in week 8. He led the team with a 24.1% target share and a 77% snap share. Douglas has already seen some more passing work than Devontae Parker, who also did leave this game here in week 8 with a concussion, but I do expect Douglas to potentially be the leader in this receiving room moving forward for the rest of the season. Now, I wouldn't suggest spending a lot of money on Demario Douglas. I think he is worth a cheap pickup just to see what he does here in weeks 9 and 10 with Bourne out of the lineup. And those upcoming opponents that he has are the Commanders, the Colts, and then he has a bye week in week 11. If he hasn't done anything by then, we should definitely be dropping him, but he is a stash and see for me over the next few weeks. Now, that is all I have for you guys today. If you did enjoy the video, go ahead and hit that like button. It is the best free way to show our channel some support, so we appreciate each and every one of you guys doing that for us if you feel like we gave you some actionable advice. Also, if you like videos like this and you want more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss a video from us, and make sure you hit that little notification bell as well. That way you're notified when new videos come out. And last but not least, go join my free Discord. It is going to be linked in the description. We talk waiver advice, trade advice, really all things NFL and fantasy football in there. It gives you direct access to me where I can answer any of your fantasy football or NFL questions any time of the day. And like I said, it's free to join, so go ahead and hit that. There's no risk in joining that. And with all of that being said, I don't have anything else for you guys today, so I will see you guys on the next video. But until then, peace out.